Well, welcome back to Take a Sip with Rob and Tonia. Cheers, babe.
Cheers, babe.
Clink. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 2. And today we're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to start off talking about the power of like. When we talk about that, what are we talking about, babe?
I think it's just like as simple as you like your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the person, whether it's, they're from their heart to their physical to their mental, like everything about it. And I know that's something I never heard couples talk about before, is that I never even heard anybody say, I just like them.
Right. Which,
like, I never heard, like, growing up, like, even if I saw couples that I was like, oh my God, I want to be married to somebody just like she is, like, they look so happy. I never heard anybody talk about like that they like their partner.
No, because we usually think about romantic love. Like, I'm so in love. I love this person. I'll be with this person.
I personally feel like trumps love.
Mm-hmm.
Like is so much higher than love, I think.
Well, I think, obviously there's different stages in relationships, and we've said this before, we'll say it again. We're not relationship experts. We're just talking about our experience. But the reality is, in different relationships you've been in, whether or not you love the person, the amount you like the person probably dictates a lot of your happiness in that situation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I feel like a lot of the tough times, liking your partner will get you through those.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, I don't, not to sound like I'm too whipped or whatever people might say, but this is just reality. Each day when I go to work.
You're what? You're too whipped?
I don't want to come off as appearing too. There's probably a better word for that. Helpless.
She put it on him, y'all.
Yeah, helpless in my confines of this relationship, where I have no say so. No, that I think you may be with somebody that you may or may not love, but if you like them, that probably bodes well for the relationship, because that's still where you want to be.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like will get you through a lot of hurdles. Mm-hmm. That just loving somebody, I think, won't get you through.
Well, and I've told you too, like even recently, like, my favorite part of the day, channeling a little bit of Good Will Hunting, where he says, my favorite part of the day, my favorite part of the day is when I come to pick you up, and then I think maybe for a minute you won't be there, right? So, not that I want you to.
That's not your favorite part. You're gonna come home and I won't be here.
I just hope you'll be gone. That's how much I like you. No, but so I've told you that my favorite part of the day is when I pull onto our street, and I'm pulling down the street, and I hit the button to open the garage door. Mm-hmm. As soon as that garage door opens, I realize I'm home. This is my happy space. This is where my person is. This is where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think everybody has that in a relationship, that they feel this almost sense of salvation, like, oh my God, I made it home at the end of my long day.
I know a lot of people don't have that.
Well, and of course, we know that from personal experience, because this is not our first rodeo.
Right.
Right. But no, I think love, can take many forms. Certainly there's physical, there's intimate, there's sexual love, all that stuff. There's love based on respect. There's, love can mean a lot of different things in different circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. And I think like can as well, but I think like is so much more pervasive. It is just generally positive.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about a particular thing. I just like you. And so we think about that, why it comes up so much in our relationship, because we don't have to be planning a big night of intimacy. We don't have to be even going out, to like go have a fancy dinner out somewhere. My happy place is just hanging out with you in our house. We could be watching some stupid show. Doesn't even matter what it is.
Yeah.
But like, that's my happy space, because this works. This brings me joy in and of itself. And we don't need to add a lot to that.
Well, and like just takes off a lot of pressure, right? Mm-hmm. Like like alleviates a lot of pressure, because it's like, okay, I really like this person. I think they like me. Like, we can just hang out and not do anything, right? Yeah. Or we can just hang out and there can be like silence and nobody's thinking like, oh my God, is he quiet because he's thinking something about me, something I did wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it leads to that whole like being comfortable with the person too.
And I agree with you 98%.
Okay.
But fellas, I just want to reassure you, just because she likes you doesn't mean she's never going to ask you, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you looking at?
Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that wasn't going to happen.
You're not going to be totally immune to those, like, what are you thinking about?
No, you're not totally immune to that.
What's on your mind?
No, you're not. But yeah, like just is just, I can't stress enough how much I feel like trumps a lot of things and will get you through a lot of stuff. Because I think love, like we excuse a lot of things because we love the person. Oh, it's fine. I love him or I love her, or, you know. But I think like is so much stronger to me than love, in which I really wish like I knew early on in life. That like played such a strong part in being connected to your partner.
Well, I think like also there's that is the comfortable level, right? And I mean comfortable in the best way.
Right.
These are things that I want to come home to every night. Things that I want to see that bring me peace. I like these things. You know, and so for me, yes, the fact that, you know, let's say I get home at 7:15. My whole plan for the evening is showering, grabbing a quick bite to eat,
and hanging out.
Sitting in bed watching anything from, what was that show we watched? Love is Blind. Or a documentary. It really doesn't matter. You know, whatever we're in the mood for that night.
But like will have you watching shit with your partner that you don't even want to watch. You never thought you'd see a housewife show ever in your life. And there's several times where you're just like, because you want to sit next to me or be next to me and I'm watching the housewife, and you're like, you don't have to turn it, babe. That's fine. Like, could be just because we're just sitting next to each other.
Well, and I can always find something to goof on in your shows. But you never thought you'd be watching an Allen Iverson documentary or a Bill Russell documentary.
I did not.
Which has kind of become our thing over the last 6 months. A lot of sports documentaries.
Like you just feel like your most comfortable, vulnerable self with. And so for me, like I feel like is that. Like that's the person you enjoy doing nothing with. Like you just enjoy doing nothing with that person. I think that will just get you through a lot of stuff. Whereas I think even stronger than love sometimes. And it's not talked about enough.
Right, and I agree. So let's dovetail this just a little bit into other relationship topics. In your estimation, when is the right time to leave a relationship? So again, we got to account for all the variables. So like for us, there's not that many variables. We're not in our 20s. We don't have school-age children.
Right.
So not specifically talking about us, but talking about relationships in general, where all of those variables might come into play, whether it's age, children, finances.
I think for me, obviously I can only like speak for myself. So when I got married, I can tell you right now, like I did not know what love was. I didn't know like what I was going to feel when it happened. I didn't know how it was going to look when it happened. I honestly just didn't know. I knew I had been dating a guy for a while and he was nice to me and we got along. So I just figured, we've been dating for a couple of years, so this is where it normally goes. You just normally get married after that. But I can tell you right now, sitting here, like, he was a decent dude, but I can tell you right now, like, I know now that I didn't love him. He may have loved me, but I didn't love him. And I knew that wholeheartedly because I would go home and I wouldn't want to go inside the house. So like that, in my mind, I'm like, this can't be good, right? And not that inside the house was going to be horrible. It's just that it just was like, I wasn't like what I had seen in the movies or heard from other people. I was never like that. It was never like, oh my God, I love this person so much. I just want to be with them all the time. Like, it's just like, I was hearing different, like, things from friends who were married and their whole thing was like, oh, I can't wait to get home with my husband. And I'm just like, yeah, I can wait. It's not a big deal to me.
So,
like, I'm just like,
let me ask a few questions, just that I know the answers, but just to clear it up for the listeners. So, but he was not abusive to you.
Oh God, no.
He was not ugly to you.
Never.
You just didn't love it.
I just didn't love it.
So, which begs the question, so back up and let's just give them a little more explanation. So why did you marry him? And I guess maybe if it helps, whatever you're comfortable sharing, how did that compare to what you grew up seeing when it comes to relationships?
So what I grew up seeing wasn't like a whole, super lovely family, right? Because I grew up in a very toxic family, and my own situation was very toxic, right? So that wasn't something that I learned as a child. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I didn't know what that looked like. Mm-hmm. I honestly didn't know what that looked like.
And I don't want to digress too much, but you've shared this on other social media. Mm-hmm. You had a very traumatic childhood in through adolescence at the hands of your stepdad.
Very traumatic childhood.
Right.
And so for me, like, this person that I ended up marrying was like way better than any interaction I had seen. Mm-hmm. He and I together were just way better than anything I had witnessed, whether at church or at home. Mm-hmm. So I was like, how could this not be it? Right? Like, it was just, even our dynamic was way better than anything I had witnessed.
Because it was, I'm guessing here, tell me if I'm wrong, generally positive and supportive and respectful.
It was very positive, very respectful. Mm-hmm. And how could I not think that wasn't love? Right? Because I hadn't seen that before.
Because it was better than any version of relationship you had been exposed to.
Better than anything I had seen in real life. Yeah. Better than anything I'd seen in real life. So of course I'm thinking to myself, how could this not be it?
Right.
But I knew that wasn't it the minute, like right after we said our adieus at the weddings, and we're leaving all of our friends and family, and I immediately get into the limo and I immediately think to myself, what have I done?
Because let me just interject. So the party was fun. The reception was fun. All your friends and family.
Was great. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
Great. You look beautiful.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everything was great.
Everybody was adoring you.
It was amazing.
But then
I realized all these people aren't going home with me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not the center of attention. Like,
this party literally got to end.
Yeah, it's ending.
Right.
Yes, there's an end to this. And so I immediately, and I don't even know why part of my brain was like, what have I done? When I didn't even know what love looked like. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't even know what that looked like. But in my heart, I knew, like, bitch, this ain't it. Yeah. Some part of me at some point knew this ain't it.
Do you think you got that recognition? Because you mentioned, what you see on TV. Of course, we all know that's not real. Do you think you got that more from this preconception of some fairy tale example you saw from TVs or movies? Or was it more based on other friends maybe who just had...
And honestly, I feel like if I had to answer, I would say it was a combination of both, right? Because all I had to go by was like what I was visually seeing with TVs or movies or what have you, and friends telling me about their relationship. So fast forward, I end up thinking that maybe it's because I need to have a baby with this person, and that's going to bring the love on. Because the thing is, when you don't know what that is or what that looks like, you don't know what's going to bring on love.
Right. You don't know what's missing.
I mean, I know this sounds so stupid probably to a lot of people who have grown up in a very super loving, supportive household, and you've seen this love like demonstrated in front of you. So I'm sure a lot of people are probably like, what the hell is she talking about? Right? But if you have never seen this, you literally don't know how this starts or how to get it.
Definitely, I had a better shot of understanding what an affectionate, positive marriage looked like based on my experience. But I will tell you, I still too did not know how to perfect this recipe.
So even if you have it and you see it in front of you, it doesn't mean you're gonna like get it right.
No. Is having a baby a great way to save a rocky relationship?
Oh God, no. I think anybody will tell you that. No.
That's not the cure?
Even having a baby in a good, healthy, solid, hard rock, like solid relationship is a struggle. Yeah. So take that having a baby when your relationship isn't solid, that's only gonna like crumble it like super quick, right? So which that actually like sped up the demise of the relationship, which is which was good
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't, obviously I wasn't the right person for him and he wasn't the right person for me.
So let's get a little bit of a timeline just to fill in the blanks for folks who may be trying to keep up. So do you remember when you got married?
I got married in 93.
Married 93-ish. So your daughter's born in 98.
My daughter was born in 98. She was probably around maybe like 2, maybe not quite 3 when we got divorced.
Yeah,
so we were married probably about 7 years and we were together probably like around 10.
Yeah. And so what was it for you that you knew that it was time to go?
It was basically driving home every day from work, and I would come into the parking lot and just sit in my car, like just preparing myself to go in. I knew it wasn't going to be fun. And that probably sounds like super selfish and super like, oh my God, I can't believe she's just, she out and having fun. But I knew it wasn't going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing that he did specifically. I just knew it wasn't going to be fun.
Well, he wasn't your person.
Because it wasn't my person.
He didn't cheat on you. He didn't beat you. He didn't treat you bad.
Mm-mm.
But at some point, you had to tell your family, we're getting divorced.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
And that was honestly the hardest part. Because as far as him, he actually took it well. And it was upsetting for him, but he never made me feel bad about my choice of that. It was my family. Because they loved him, and he was just such a nice guy. And they were like, wait a minute, he's not cheating on you? Okay, he don't beat you. He don't cuss you out.
He got a job.
He got a job. He don't talk out, he don't call you outside your name. Like, okay, what? Huh? You don't love him. Okay, that's stupid. Like, I literally had family members tell me, you don't love him? Okay, that's dumb.
Dumb reason to get divorced.
That's a dumb reason to get divorced. Wow. I literally had people tell me that. And they got inside my head, So I had honestly left for a while, and then actually my family had convinced me to go back. Mm-hmm. It was 100 times worse going back.
100 times worse because you had sniffed freedom.
Yeah, because I sniffed freedom.
Yeah. And
I knew, I had some time to be away and knew that wasn't my independence. Exactly.
That's probably a better word.
Exactly. And I knew
he wasn't holding you hostage.
Well, I had time to really see on my own that he wasn't my person.
Right.
So obviously when I went back, I didn't stay for very long, and then I just left, and my daughter's really only known us apart. She's literally only known us apart because I left so early.
So what did maybe it's self-evident, but what did having a child do for you in that relationship?
Well, number one, it showed me that it really was in my face that I needed to leave, which was good. But then also, it also showed that just because he and I weren't meant to be together, doesn't mean he wasn't meant to, or he's not a good father. That didn't take away any of his other qualities that were amazing, right? So I knew he would be a good dad, and him being a good person made our split easier. It wasn't even though I knew he was devastated and super hurt from it, he never made my choices stank. He never made me feel bad about my choices of wanting to leave. It was never bitch, why don't you, love me? I've been doing this, da, da, da. He never ever was that type of person. Right. Which is great, which made the divorce easier. He ended up being great, great parents to my daughter.
And co-parents. Are there particular movie or TV couples that you're you know what? Man, that's the one. Cliff and Claire Huxtable, was it?
I don't know. I guess at the time it was kind of like Cosby Show type of stuff, right? Because that's what I had seen. Right. No, and for me, it was he made her laugh. Yeah. He could admit when he was wrong. Even that, there was times where she would just be going off the rails. But he was so he remained calm. And he was here she go again. That's just her, how she is. And I just kind of thought that was a healthy marriage. Right.
No, I mentioned that specifically. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, we're both 55 years old. We are both squarely Gen Xers, both class of 86 in high school. Cosby was significant.
Yeah.
I mean, you went to school, it came out on Thursday nights. Every Friday morning, you're at school, and people are like, "Did you see 𝗂𝐎𝐍𝐵 last night?"
Yeah.
And I grew up in Maine, she grew up in Dallas, and that was still true no matter where you went to school.
So as far as like a healthy one on TV, like that's probably what I aspire to, right? Like somebody who's like gonna make me laugh, but at the same time, if I go off the rails and just like really go off about something, it's not gonna scare them off. Like they're just gonna be like, okay, yep, that's right. You upset about this rug that we bought, you don't like it, we're gonna go out and buy another rug. That's what we're gonna do. Like he's just like, I don't get it, but this gonna make her happy.
Right.
Like it's like that's the kind of relationship I saw like on TV. And so in my mind, like that's like what I would have. And if you notice, like she always like really liked like what he did too. Like it was just like his like little quirkiness, like she thought that was funny and cute. And so in my mind I was like, that's what I'm gonna be like. I think like my husband's gonna like, his little quirks that other people like find irritating, like I'm gonna think that's super cute, right? Like in my mind, that's what I was thinking and hoping for.
We can only hope.
Yeah, and I didn't get that, but I have that now, and the universe rewarded me.
I will take it.
So, babe, how did you know it was time to leave your marriage?
It's funny because I think our stories are so similar.
They're so similar.
Yet so different.
Yep. I agree. I think they're similar in that you and I both recognized we weren't in love with our partners.
They are similar in our recognition of discontent.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the similarities end. In thinking about this, I think it's fair to start with. I recognize this years later. I didn't take a lot of effort in dating. I generally dated by convenience.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get that.
So this is
I can get
pre-dating app, right?
Got it.
If we had something in common, some activity or a workplace or a school that we would spend time with, and you were kind of cute and you were kind of fun, then I would be of the mindset, all right, let's see what happens from here. And that's what happened. That's how I met my ex. And again, I'm not here to dog my ex. At the end of the day, we were not a great recipe. That was in part both of our faults and in part nobody's fault. That's just a fact.
Fair. We could do a whole podcast and dogging your ex.
We could do entire seasons of podcasts.
Anyway, okay,
but
I digress.
Yes, no. Let's try to focus on that aspect. We dated off and on through the first part of the '90s. Met in '92, I guess. Moved to Austin in '93 when I had been accepted for a grad program. She was finishing a graduate program in Florida where we had been living, not together. That's when we met. And she said, I'm finishing my grad program about the same time you're moving away for grad school. Maybe I could come with you and we could continue this. To which I said, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't necessarily see this going anywhere. But she did not take no for an answer, and she came to Austin anyway. Again, I didn't tell her, damn it, woman, don't come.
Yeah.
Again, I was dating by convenience. I was a young dude. I was, 24-ish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and she was a nice person. And again, I'm never going to say anything otherwise than she was a nice person. We dated off and on. At one point, we break up. While we're broken up, we fool around, and she gets pregnant. And so, it's not the best foundation upon which to build a successful marriage. We were broken up for a reason, but I was, in part, I felt a little guilty. I wanted to be a quote-unquote good guy, and I was getting pressure from my parents. Again, I'm 24, but nonetheless, I felt the pressure.
Right.
But also, I knew that, I believed that, she would make it very difficult to see our son if I didn't marry her.
Yeah.
And so, took the plunge, got married shortly after he's born, go to law school. And so we get married, get my math right. He was born in February of '97. We get married New Year's Day of '98.
Okay.
Sounds right. Hannah's born in March of '98, right? That's her daughter. So she's a year younger than my son. Go to law school in August of '98. Moved back from Texas to Maine. Anyway, so we stayed married for almost 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And so after our son was born, ended up adopting our two girls, who were at the time 12 months and about 18 months. They're now 21 and 19. They'll be 22 and 20 this summer. So yeah, I hung in there for better part of 14 years. That was a long time. But it was built on a rocky foundation. One might say that she intentionally got pregnant to trap me. I'm not quite saying that, but
you wouldn't be surprised.
Well, there was some information that was not conveyed to me, specifically that she had been on the 𝗪𝗶𝘁𝗁 shot for years. Stopped that and didn't tell me. Anyway. Yeah, and again, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at any of the experiences that led to me to have my children. But we were not built on a great foundation. We had a lot more drama, I think, than you and your ex did. But at the end of the day, so that was my late 20s when that all came down. I remember being about 40. So I would have turned 40 in 2008. So give or take, somewhere around then. I remember waking up one weekend morning, looking over at her and thinking, I can't do this forever. If I'm here with her when I'm 60, I'm going to be angry and bitter, and it's not going to be her fault. Because I will have allowed that to happen, and I know this isn't right. I know she's not my person.
What gave you that epiphany like then?
I think it was a lot of little things that led me, because I think as you do approach 40, you do have this like lifetime perspective, right?
You kind of think about your life a little bit.
Because you could be like, let's say the day you get to 40, you can look back and say, well, 40 years back, this is what's happened. You can estimate, I might have another 40 years in the future. You probably can't, at any other milestone age, you can't really think like that, right? 50, maybe not. And I think it's a matter of, there's a lot of things about my life that I liked at that point. My marriage was not one of them. And I'm not, and again, there were certainly things she did that I didn't like. But at the end of the day, if she was with her right person, those things would probably be adorable.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it wasn't working for me. We didn't have much of an intimate life. That's not a reason to me to get divorced, but usually that is symptomatic of a deeper disconnection, right?
A lot of things are different when you're with your right person. A lot of things that are an issue with somebody else aren't an issue with your right person.
Well, and so not to get too graphic, but so we've had, so we've been together, almost 12 years. There have been a couple occasions.
Me and you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where, somebody might say, basically, is everything okay? Because we haven't been having much of an intimate life lately, right? We're not doing it as much as we used to. I'm not feeling that sort of vibe from you. Is everything cool? And sometimes there's an explanation, sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's just bringing awareness. And I think...
You're saying we're not having much of an intimate
I'm saying that there have been a couple occasions over 12 years where one of us would bring forward, hey, is everything...
Is
everything cool?
I thought you were saying one of your friends was bringing to you, like, why you ain't having... I'm like, what the fuck you done talking about your... Why the hell you talking to your friend? Okay, I digress.
No, but that's like that scene from that movie that you don't really like that much, Office Space, where the neighbors, she's like, I have a feeling my girlfriend's been cheating on me, and then the friend's like, yeah, I get that feeling too.
Yeah. No, I like Office Space. Okay.
Do you?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's Idiocracy you don't like.
Yeah, no, it's Idiocracy. I don't like that. But no, I totally get that.
Yeah. But I think, the reality is, she and I did not have a great love life. I'm not blaming that on her.
But even that wasn't something that you were like hyper focused on.
No,
that was like, ooh, I need to.
Well, again, a lot of it, that was in like my 30s. So like the fact that we're not having much, and we didn't have necessarily little kids because obviously little kids can mess up your love life.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they can mess up anything.
Right.
Little kids can mess up a lot. But them terrorists.
Yeah, but as your kids get to become school-age kids, there's no reason to really lack that much intimacy.
Right.
But I think obviously when you're at that age as parents, lacking the intimacy usually is just indicative of something being off in the relationship, which clearly ours was.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So I think for me, I just got to a point where I realized this ain't it. This is
so
not
you immediately like turning over in bed whenever that was, at whatever time that was, and you're like, I'm here when I'm like
60
or 50, 60 or whatever. It's my own fucking fault.
Yeah.
Like that was your like kind of like aha, come to Jesus moment where you were just like, I need to get out of this.
Yeah, and I knew that getting out was going to be hard, and that's based on her personality. It's not an indictment so much as it is just recognition of reality. And you know, and I thought it would be hard. She's not a very forgiving person, in my experience, and so me telling her that I don't want to be with you anymore was not going to be
as simple.
Wasn't going to go over well, and it was not something that was going to be cured in a few months.
Got it. Yeah.
And as we found out, it was way more persistent than we ever could have imagined.
Way more, yes.
Like I thought, year or two, the divorce is final, we move on.
Yeah, not so much.
You know how they tell you like when you split up with somebody, it's going to get better.
It did not.
I'm here to tell you that is not 100% proposition.
Yeah. It was. We've been through some things
because we are now about 13 years separated / divorced. It never got better. The kids have aged out.
Yep, it never got better.
My baby's going to be 20 in June.
I can tell you right now, it's not better.
Yeah, no, it got way worse and way more toxic to the point where we just don't speak.
But to your point, so was your main focus staying for like kids, for your son, and then eventually your 2 daughters? Like, was your main focus of just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna stay and like put my time in and just focus on the kids, and the kids are just gonna have like, the best life ever?
That was my motivation throughout most of the marriage, right? So by the time we actually got married,
put your focus in the kids.
We had like a 9-month-old when we got married.
Yeah.
And so law school comes, and then 2 more kids come.
So you always had some kind of distraction.
Yes. Yeah, oh no, a lot of our marriage was not. So for instance, the idea of what we do.
Yeah.
On a typical, now again, we're in a very different phase just of our life because the kids are all up and out.
Yeah.
A typical night for us, I get home around 7:15, shower, grab a bite to eat. By 8 o'clock, we're just sitting in bed watching TV.
Yeah, we're watching TV, maybe having a drink or whatever.
Yep. Maybe take a very legal edible here in Texas and down to 8. Chill out for the evening because those are legal here in Texas.
Yeah.
And
but for you, but for me and you, it's just basically kind of unwinding. And now it could be we don't start a show. We're talking about our day for like an hour.
Sure.
Whatever. Or maybe like our day is like super easy and we're starting a show and we're watching a show or whatever. Mm-hmm. But for you, like that wasn't like a thing.
No.
Like that wasn't like even a. Now I know kids can play a part in how your evening goes, right?
Sure.
So
the
you're
kids
having
were young.
like young kids.
Sure.
But like that was never something that you looked forward to. Like I guess is my thing. Like because like for me, like even as busy as my day can get sometimes with filming or whatever or doing the tasks that I have to do as a full-time content creator. I know that once like 6, 7 o'clock hits, whenever you're home, I know that like, great, oh my God, like I'm just gonna be talking to him about my day and we're gonna watch some stupid show or whatever. Right. And I'm totally like locked in and looking forward to that. Right. Whereas with you, like, it was never like, that was never a thing.
No.
I guess is what I'm saying.
And again, we were in a different place. So the kids were much younger. And so there was probably kid distractions at home. And I'm sure we at some point, had some TV shows or something, but we didn't like a lot of the same shows.
Yeah. So that wasn't like a thing you were like looking forward to after you put the kids to bed or whatever.
No, but I think it's funny because I think one of the things you and I bonded on early, as we talked about and explored like prior relationships and how we view relationships, was that phenomenon of getting home, sitting in your car, looking at the front door and saying,
I don't want to go in.
Here I go.
Yeah.
I can do it. I can do it. I can get in there. I can
psyching
take a
yourself
face on
up for going inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When you really just don't even want to go into your own
Didn't
home.
even want to go inside. Yeah.
Because you know what's waiting in there is not.
And
really
honestly,
good.
that is one of the early things that we bonded on because prior to that, of course, I had been single longer than you.
Right.
So I had been dating a while. And so for me, that was the word on the street.
That was the word on the street. Cool
So
River.
the frustrating thing for me was having to explain to somebody why I divorced somebody that wasn't like awful to me, right? And having to explain that I just didn't love this person, and driving up to my own house and not wanting to go in, trying to make somebody understand that was really kind of just nerve-wracking, right? I wanted to make up he cheated on me,
Right.
Because I felt like I would get more sympathy and understanding
Which
from
is
that,
easier
right?
to
Which is so
understand.
stupid, right? So, but because he hadn't done any of those awful things, I was always met with judgment. Like, what? Huh? Like, I was always met with that. I remember, like, one of the first times telling you that I just didn't love him. It was so, like, reassuring and, like, nice to say that to somebody who felt the same way about their ex. Like that was, like, your thing, too.
Right.
It's like, this is the first person who, like, actually understands what I'm saying right now.
And again, I think we came to that feeling from a slightly different space, but ultimately it's just a recognition and realization that this is not my person.
Yeah.
I know there's something better out there. I don't know if I'll ever find it.
Yeah. But I know this ain't it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be stuck here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the ironic part for me is that I had a pretty good role model coming up.
You did.
I mean, my parents were married for 53 years.
Yeah.
My mom's she's going to be 89 here in a couple weeks. My dad passed in 2015, but they were married for about 53 years.
Yeah.
And they were a good role model for a loving, supportive, respectful couple. I mean, I heard many times from my dad, your mom is the best. You know, and there was enough, hugging and kissing, like I think an appropriate amount,
But then
where I knew they loved each other.
So I think this is so interesting to think about if you really, really delve into it and think about. I didn't have that role model to look at.
Right.
But you did, and you still ended up in a marriage.
I still screwed it up.
You still, like, ended up in something that wasn't, like, for you.
And I think there's something about being intentional in dating, which I never did. I still didn't do even after I got divorced. You were a stroke of luck. But I think had I been more intentional on seeking out what I think I saw from my parents, I might have had a better chance first time around. But it was totally this dating by convenience. All right, she's fun and cute. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Which I think in a matter of being open and inclusive and being open to all the stuff it could be, that's not inherently awful. But I think there is a point where you're clearly settling for something that you know isn't going to work great.
Yeah.
But I think it's about being intentional. It's about following the cues and making sure that you're feeling comfortable the whole way. But yeah, if you're just going to do it all by convenience and comfort and ease, you may just opt into something that you know is going to be toxic.
I think a lot of times we want to make it right.
Sure.
But if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right.
Well, and in fairness, I knew that when I got married the first time, it wasn't right.
It wasn't.
I had
You knew that from Jump Street.
I had no illusions. I was just trying to have a relationship with my son.
Gotcha.
Well, and I told you too that when I was engaged, it was a very brief period where I was engaged. We eloped, so we didn't have a big wedding.
Right.
We eloped at one of her friend's house in Rhode Island. As I've told you, on the eve of that, as it was ramping up, number one, I didn't tell any of my friends.
Right. Yeah.
And I was having panic attacks.
Yeah.
And it was a really dark time for me. I knew it wasn't going to work out great, but I was trying to, quote unquote, be a good dude. And, it's funny. My mom,
situation.
Yeah, my mom, I think to this day regrets encouraging me to get married.
I'm sure.
But I mean, it was not on her. I made that choice. I was a young man, but I was still a man.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we joke about this a lot too. That if you've ever seen Modern Family, Jay from Modern Family, you will often comment, when people are like, "Wait, that's your wife, Sofia Vergara?" And he's like, "Yeah, the universe rewarded me." I'm not here to dog my ex anymore to say that she was not the person for me.
Yeah.
But I do feel thankful every day to whatever we want to call this higher power. The universe has rewarded me. Aww. And I got to a space where I can't wait to get in the house at night.
Aww.
And so, it all worked out. And I have 3 awesome kids who I love with all my heart.
Yeah.
And so I can't regret any of that. But when it comes to relationships, I wish everyone would have the feeling of, Can't wait to get home and just do nothing with my person.
I seriously wish that for everyone. Because it is definitely so relaxing and comforting feeling. Even when you're going through like your worst day ever, and you know seeing your spouse or your significant other is going to like make that better.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like it even makes like the bad stuff good.
Or at least palatable.
Or bearable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I totally get that.
I think that's it, baby.
That's it. I think we ended that good.
So, I'm thankful for you. I know it's not the Thanksgiving episode.
I'm thankful for you too, babe.
But I appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will see you next time.
We definitely appreciate you tuning in.
Let's take one last sip, baby.
See you next time. Cheers, everybody.
Take a sip.